Greetings, Rem PCs, and welcome to another episode of Insight Check, the show where we provide precious insight into your favorite and most beloved members of the Rem Alternis community. I'm your host, Erica Kingery, and when I was growing up, I had a pet tarantula, and one day, it got loose. I'm here with Roland, and we're going to have some good talk today. Thanks for being here, Roland.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Roland. I am on Clockwork. You can already know that. Sunday nights, 7 o'clock. Sorry, I'm always on West Coast time, so I have to think about the time. 7 Central, 5 o'clock Pacific. Is that right? I think that's right.
Sure.
Thanks for having me.
So how did you get connected to Rem and to Sarah?
Through Dan, actually, Danny Oliver.
Yeah.
He's my friend from way back. We were both DJs back in I think he started in the late 90s. Or
Wait,
early
Danny
2000s.
was a DJ?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was
I'm somebody who has to start from the beginning.
Yes, I want to hear the whole story. Yes.
I graduated from high school, and about a year after being out, I had a friend who had started going to parties, and the rest of us are kind of I'm from Hawaii, so when you graduate, there's a few ways you can go. Some people, you can go to college off abroad. You can get a 9-to-5. A lot of people have families just right off the gate, so people would be working from 9 to 5 right out of high school. They went to college a little bit, but it didn't really resonate. So I ended up partying for 10 years. It was because my friend had gone to a club. He had experienced kind of rave life, and so he comes to us, and we're just kind of drinking, going to graduation parties at people's houses and whatever, having house parties. And he's like, "Oh, guys, you have to come in. This party's gonna be happening. Come check it out." And so I went to my first rave. So I partied for a year or two, and then as you start to meet people and whatever, I start to get more into the actual culture of it. And then you start to meet people who are the DJs and the people who are throwing parties and promoters and stuff like that. And I had a group of friends, and we were kind of grouped together, and one thing led to another, and someone's like, "Oh, come over to my friend Jason's house, and we're gonna DJ." And I was like, "Okay." So I go with my friend there, and at this time I'm pretty much saying that I'm a dancer. That's what I'm "Oh yeah, I go out and I party. I'm a dancer, blah blah blah." And I went to my friend's house, and they were all mixing on vinyl back then, and I don't know, they taught me how to count beats, measures, and I found that I kind of picked it up real quick. The second I touched a turntable, I was just all in. But after that, I spent a lot of money, and back then it wasn't just go on the internet and download some tracks. You had to actually we had to order on the internet. We could probably afford maybe about 5 records at a time. And then you have to wait for a week. Maybe it came from the UK, so you have to wait for a week for it to arrive. Somewhere along the way, I went to I think I was aware of Dan because he was on our message board as well.
Sounds like Dan.
Yeah. And you start to recognize people by what they're saying there. Does it resonate with you? He's talking about music usually. So when me and my friends were kind of being and we were assholes, I'm gonna admit that, but we were funny, and our writing styles were all these different writing styles, and we were we're pretty funny. So he would hop in sometimes on some stuff, and so my friend started doing day parties, and that's I think where I met him the first time. With our day parties, we would go to a park, we would set up turntables. People still do this type of stuff. We would set up turntables, and some people would barbecue, bring their lawn chairs and stuff, and we would just play music from I want to say till 11 in the morning till the sunset and the park closed through the whole day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I miss that. So I think Dan was at a couple of those. And so, you know, like, even if we were like jerks online, we started to like be more, you know, as the community started to build, everybody started to be nicer to each other, and like, you know, we kind of all made a community. And so that's where I met him. The first thing he asked me, because he found out that I was a DJ, was if I knew who the group Green Velvet was, to which I didn't. So he like clowned me about that, and that was like our first. Like, yeah, that sounds like dating. Yeah, was him clowning me about my lack of knowledge. Stupid kid, like this like 18, 17-year-old, like, and I think kids tend to do that a lot. Like, you puff your chest, like you know what you know, you're proud of what you know, until the older guy comes along and then like puts the reality into you, and that's what we did at first. So yeah, he was also one of the first people to run me through D&D. Like, I remember going to his house, and we played one. Actually, did we even play that campaign? I think that we made characters and kind of like did like an intro, you know, everyone's in the tavern type thing, and that was the first and last time we played. Like, you know, it just never added up again. Like, everybody just couldn't make it to the session. Fast forward a lot of years, we lived together. Oh, that's important. He was my first roommate also. When I was like 20, 21 years old, he signed the lease on our apartment. So I was able to get out at that time. My home life wasn't great at that time. My father and I kind of weren't getting along. So I decided that I wanted to get out, and Dan was the one who signed that first lease and got me out of there. I tell you, the one thing I won't forget about that is that we picked me up on the U-Haul first, and I had all my stuff, and then we went to Dan's house and we packed up his stuff. And Dan, that sucked. You pack first, Dan. You don't wait for him to come over to pack. But we were like, it was kind of cool because like we were throwing some of his stuff away, so I got to claim some of that stuff. Actually, I have a Vampire the Masquerade book still that he got rid of. There was like this time where I like started to play 5th edition D&D, and I was playing this house game with my friends, and I had created this warlock that had a sentient two-handed sword, and I wrote all these like 4 paragraphs of like the backstory for this thing. So I Dan and I somehow like got back in touch, and I like remember sending him that paragraph or whatever of things, and then he like shared back that he's with this group, and I'm not sure if you've seen that picture that Boban drew for him, this old party where he's a bard. He was already part of Rem at that time, and he was gonna do his like Clockwork, and he just mentioned it, and in my mind I'm like, oh yeah, I'm down to play a game, you know, like that's pretty much it. Like, I didn't know that was gonna be a part of a community. Later on, I talked about how it was gonna be recorded and an actual like, you know, trying to make a show out of it. So I'm down. Like, I like to play. I think like maybe when we started to like close in on the month or two before session 0, that's when I went on Rem and started to like see what was going on and watch some of the shows and whatnot. And that's when I was like, oh, like we're like, people are gonna be watching this, huh?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's how it is. All right. So yeah, it's completely like because I met Dan like for the first like quarter of my life. That's how. Yeah. Knowing Dan for a quarter of my life, and then Rem. That's how. That's basically like it in a nutshell.
Wow.
And the way I told this story, how I went from like, oh, what's this small question, and I told this long explanation. That's me in a nutshell in life. You ask me a simple question, and I'm going to give you a novel.
Yeah. No, there's like something like communication and storytelling and all of that. I love it. I have zero problem with it.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, this like watching this like journey and the way that like it sounds like Danny in a lot of ways mentored you at like key points in life, and now like we as Rem get to to know you and to experience things with you and be a part of that story. And that's just, I don't know, that's just really cool.
Yeah, it's a weird like twist of fate. Like I honestly I think I told him that too. Like I don't think that I would ever have imagined that our relationship would have ended up here. Like
yeah,
I would never have foreseen that at all, especially who I was back then when I was DJing. Like I mean, I've always been a gamer, but like I didn't foresee that I'd even be sitting here right now talking to you, having a conversation about this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wait, so what was your DJ name?
Oh, okay. So, like a lot of things, when you overrate yourself when you first start, I named myself Beat Logic. Logic spelled L, capital L, lowercase o, J, I, wait. Is it a capital J? I-K.
Just went all in.
That's how Logic was. Yeah. You think that's so cool when you're a teenager, but
spelled it super logically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
And I like that was because I had this like stupid like probably drug-induced like philosophy of rave logic, which I also spelled logic the same way. And I put it on my beanie, I had it over my eye. And that's kind of just like what my brand was back then. Which I like.
I love how you're very eye-rolly about it.
I cringe about it, dude. So yeah, it was Beat Logic, and that lasted for like I wasn't anybody when I was Beat Logic. Like I never like had a crowd in front of me. I had like just that community basically. So when I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty good. I'm not gonna be modest. That was pretty good. I won a DJ contest, and with like electronic music, it's not like you are scratching or anything like that. So like, it's basically like a popularity contest / like, are people dancing to what you're doing? So there was an open deck night, and actually Dan was a part of this as well. It was a house music competition, and the prize was that we could play a set for the Salute the Troops thing happening in Kapilani Park in Waikiki, in Hawaii. But yeah, I'll never forget. Like I was late coming to that competition because of work or whatever. So when I got there, I'm walking up the stairs with my big old record crate. Like that was like the thing back in the days, like DJs talking about having to like carry their record crates everywhere because they're super heavy. So I'm hauling up the steps, and everybody has almost all gone. And this dude Jay was already like winning it. And I remember, and I love you for this, Dan. he told Jay, "Here's your competition." And I was like, "Oh, like he already like puffed me up to that, you know." And I did like the guys who were judging it were like already like a DJ collective that was like already known. They were on different parties or whatever, and they picked me to win that competition. But when that happened, that's when I decided I was gonna be a little more serious about what my identity was. So ego still being there, I was really proud of who I was in terms of my opinion at the time, and the way I wrote when I was online and stuff like that. And I still value how honest I can tend to be. But I was very, very into that persona. So my DJ name was Badmouth. And that's what I went through 10, 9, 8 years of being a DJ. And actually playing out and actually getting booked was as Badmouth. That was my name. Now that I'm 38, I hate that name too. It's funny how life like transitions to shape.
Wow, man, that's just an incredible story. Honestly,
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing through all that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Again, storytelling. I mean, role-playing games, right? Is just group storytelling, right? Which is one of the things that I just love about it. And how I think a lot of ways we can bring our stories to the games. And like sometimes, I don't know, I find myself working through some things through roleplay, which ends up being really satisfying and good. So thanks for coming on and like sharing your stories with us. That's awesome. All right, it is time for our final question. And on Insight Check, our final question is always on your real life character sheet. What is your class, specialty, and weakness?
Jeez. I'm definitely a barbarian. And my strength is definitely that's not it. I think my class is bard. I feel like a lot of people would say that. Not about me, but in general about themselves. It seems like the easiest like real life class, but I think I'm a bard. I couldn't think of anything else. Definitely not a monk. Not fast enough. Definitely not a fighter. I'm definitely not a fighter. Yeah, that makes the most sense. I think that if I had like a sub class, maybe a glamour bard, because I'm good at distraction. So
nice.
That's the thing, right? Well, I think my specialty would be distraction. Because I can filibuster like no other. I'm really good at derailing things by just talking nonsense, which I think
in great ways.
Yeah, well, I think that's where all of my like characters probably have something like in common. Because even like on like Clockwork with Aegis, like he's not a comedic character for like the things he says or does. It's just the situations that he gets put into, or what he not put into, that he puts himself into. That's where, you know,
important distinction.
Yeah. Where the comedy plays out. So I would say that's probably my strength. I think as a bard, to go on with the bard, like I dabble in all kinds of little things too. So bards are like good at a few things, but mediocre at like a lot of things. But they know how to do it, you know. So I think that's definitely a thing too. Weakness, so many weaknesses.
We don't have time to list all of them. Pick one.
Say motivation is my weakness. If I was a D&D character, I would definitely be in the tavern while my friends were getting all their gear together. And I'd probably get it all together at the last minute because it was like absolutely time to have all your stuff together. And that's just like such a real life theme with me.
All right, now it's time for our insight check. So I said at the beginning that when I was growing up, I had a tarantula, and one day it got loose. And with the 15 on your insight check, you know that is absolutely true.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, there was a pet tarantula growing up, and one day it got out of its cage, and it was gone for months, literal months, like 6 months. My mom found it one day when she was getting ready to take a shower.
Oh no!
We thought for sure tarantula is dead, gone somewhere. Just casually showed up the bottom of the bathtub one day, just like chilling, and put it back in the cage. Trina the tarantula, safe and sound, back in her little aquarium cage.
I was gonna say, did it show up with a family? But I guess I don't know how tarantulas
that would be
work.
super terrifying. It's like got a college degree, a family, like
a full career.
Yeah. All right, well, we came, we saw, we insight checked, and that is all for this episode. We want to give a special thanks to our guest, Roland. Roland, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. That was fun.
It's been great. And we want to thank you, our REM PCs, for tuning in. Make sure that you join the Patreon for exclusive content and other opportunities. There are links in the info section in the video description below. And that's all. That's all for this time on Insight Check. Bye.
See ya.
Yes.
I probably could have gone more. I probably could have talked about more. You know, Dan and I had a conversation recently, and are we still recording? Tom?